What's going on, guys? This is Impact Society, and you are tuned in to another episode. I got a special guest with me. We've been doing real estate for a long time together, and so I'm going to introduce to you him, his lifestyle, his strategies, his mindset, and so get ready for our guest, Shane. Welcome back, and y'all ready? Impact Society, we're going to have a special guest today, and we're going to unpack his life a little bit just for you guys to understand mindset, strategy, and everything it takes to become successful in any part of your life, right? So I want to allow you to introduce yourself. We've been friends for probably about, 15 years now?
However long you've been in real estate, I'm pretty sure that's how long we've been friends.
I got in real estate late 2008.
Okay, so yeah.
So
17 years.
Yeah. Been a little bit.
Yeah.
And we've been rocking together.
Yeah.
Seen some good and some bad on my side, or life's been up and down.
Yeah, we've been through it.
Yeah. I remember that a lot of times we'd meet up with each other and share books.
Yes.
And
I still have that one you inscribed for me.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Awesome. I don't remember what book. I'm trying to think of what it was.
We were going to have breakfast, right? I'll never forget that. I tell a story. I've told it probably at least 10 times. And I don't know if I'm known for being early, but I like to be 30 minutes early because that's when I do my reading. And I'm in there in the seat, and you're there. You get there 20 minutes early, but I'm there 30 minutes early. Yeah. And I look out, you see me, and you drop your head like, "Oh, dang! I was trying to beat you there, bro." and then probably 3 days later, I've come to visit you at your office. Mm-hmm. And I walk in, and you look right at me, and you go, "Dang! You sent me a thank you card. I meant to send you a thank you card." And then that's when you inscribe that book for me.
Hey, if you ever want to meet the most consistent person, this is him.
Yeah.
It's habits that you've built over life.
Exactly.
Talk to me about that. Did you always have all these habits? Did you always have this success?
I'd like to say yes, and people ask me that a lot, but I try to think back of when that time turned for me. But I really can't put my finger on it. When I got into this business, before this, I was a school teacher. So, of course, I had to be at school at a certain time, but I was also the first teacher there every day and the last one to leave because I was a coach also. And so when I quit that job and got into this one, I didn't change that habit. I just was the first one to the office every day, 7 o'clock in the morning. And people would tell me, like, realtors don't start at 7 o'clock in the morning. I go, I'll find some. Yeah. And so that's what I did. And so, I would say I've pretty much always been consistent. I was a paper boy at 11, had to have the papers out at 5 in the morning, and I did it every day, So, I've had them for a long, long time.
Yeah. It's just ingrained in you now.
It's ingrained in me, yeah.
And if you ever, and that's what I love about you. So, absorbing books. How many books do you read a month?
Oh, God. So, 8 years ago, I was interviewing people to find out the qualities that made them successful, right? And so this one guy told me his goals were to be the best father and husband he could be, good goal, be in the best shape of his life, good goal, and to do more transactions than he did last year, good goal, and to read 52 books. So you know me, I was like, hell, that sounds good. I'm going to do all those too. And so I set out to be in really good shape, and I did get in good shape, but I started reading 52 books a year, probably 8 years ago. And so I read 52 that year, 52 the next, 48, then 34, something like that. And so I have read, whatever that is, probably close to 400 books, maybe 500 books, because as you're reading, it seems like you run out of books. I'm always asking people for recommendations. So I've read so many books, and that's really changed my life.
What's your most recent book that was impactful?
I'm reading Never Hit the Snooze Button right now. I finished it on, I think, last Friday, and I turned it over, started it again. And so it's that impactful. You know how I am, or maybe you don't, but when I read a good book, I usually buy 20 of them right away, and I start giving them out to anybody that I think might need it. I gave that kid that I was talking to at lunch, I gave him one.
That's another successful habit, right? Giver's gain.
Yes.
And you embody giver's
Yes.
gain. That's one thing I've noticed about you.
Yeah.
giver's gain. You're always trying to beat somebody to the, like you said, I want to write my note. Thank you, Shane, for our lunch today. And then, I got a note from Shane. I'm a lover. He beat me to.
Yeah, that's funny.
But it's the little things.
It is.
And you're ahead of the game on making sure that the little things are met.
That's right.
Why is that important?
Well, I think it makes an impression, but even if it doesn't make an impression, it makes me feel good, and that gives me the confidence and the mindset and the positivity, just feeling good about doing stuff, whether the other person appreciates it or not. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think that's what does it. It drives me every day. I want to impress somebody, not necessarily impress them, but make an impact, on them.
I remember we was sitting in my car. I was sitting in my car. I know we was at on Blanco and 1604. I want to say somewhere around in that area. And we were talking about how certain books change our life. There was a book, and I'm trying to remember. I want to say it was a Science of Success, but we kind of talked about like nature versus nurture. Do you remember that conversation about?
Yeah, that's the book you gave me.
Was Science of Success? Okay, yeah, good.
yeah.
that doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
It's a great book. But nature versus nurture, like, what's your mindset on? Some people believe like I can't help it. That's that's how I was raised. Dude. And other people are like, no, it's ingrained. Like,
I think you can adopt any habit and go with it. Like, so many people, I do my accountability classes. I had 33 people the last month. And I always like to ask, even though I know the answer, who's a night person and who's a morning person? Like there's no such thing. That's just the habits that you've developed. If you're in my group, you're now going to be a morning person. That's all there is to it. I'm going to force you to be. You're going to get up earlier, and then you're going to be tired, and you're going to go to sleep earlier. So you can change any habit that you want. When I went through that transformation, when I started reading, I also lost 27 pounds in one calendar year, right? Or less than that, but I always say that. And what I do, I changed my habit. I changed from drinking Mountain Dew, which is a terrible, it's a good drink. But, I don't want to.
Disclaimer.
Yeah, disclaimer. but it's not healthy for me. That's why I was gaining so much weight. Anyway, I changed. Where the Mountain Dew in the refrigerator used to be, I had diet green tea. And then I just drank that. It was so easy. I never have had another one since.
Have you heard about the mid-cingulate cortex?
No.
Okay, there was a guy that was on a David Goggins podcast one time, and he was talking about this part of your brain called the mid-cingulate cortex. And apparently it's a part of your brain where they say the seat of willpower comes from. And what they've noticed about this part of your brain is that it's like any muscle, right? You got to work it out. But people who are obese, people who are often depressive, it's very small. And people who live longer, people who are, they're known as overcomers, that part of their brain is bigger, right? And so, when we're talking about habits and stuff like that, I think reading, I don't know if you meditate and stuff like that, but I think that there's certain things that you do, and like anything, like when you say like I changed a habit, some people go like, man, it's hard for me to change habits.
Yeah.
For you today, like you could change a habit, but I think
sure.
You've worked at that part of your brain so much. And I think you've already, you're to a place right now where you're like, no, it has to happen.
I can do that. Right. I can do anything. I can do whatever. I like betting people on weight loss. I love it. Like I'm gonna do it. And people don't even want to bet me because they know I'm gonna do it. Like I don't care what it is.
Where do you think the hyper competitiveness comes from?
I don't know. I have 6 siblings, and some of them are competitive. I don't know that I'm competitive necessarily. I guess so, but more with myself, right? I want to be just better than I was yesterday. That's really my goal. I don't need to be better than anybody else, or I don't even think I'm better than anybody else. I'm just competitive with myself. Like even today, it's a day off. Today's a holiday, right? But here I am, and I'm thinking to myself, I'm literally like slow going through the house, partly because I had hip surgery, but I'm also thinking like, dude, what are you doing? You're wasting hours of the day. You should be doing something. Write a book, do something. I mean, come on. And so I don't know. I think there's that. People ask me constantly, why do you choose to do that? Just like we said before, it's a choice. I just choose to not waste time. Do I get down? I mean, I probably get down as often as anybody else. Maybe not. But I think the down part of me is I get over it quicker.
Right.
I mean, I then realize, like, what are you doing, dude? Like, come on, you have potential. Just go do it.
Before the podcast, we were talking about how when my daughter passed away on October 20th, March, our company had a book of the month called Courage to be Disliked. And what's crazy is, so she passed away on a Sunday. On Monday, I was still running my appointments, right? I didn't even tell anybody that my daughter had passed. Like, first of all, it's a tragedy. Second of all, I don't think anybody needs to know this. This is like one of the worst events ever happened in my life. But that being said, I was running appointments the next day. And I literally remember, like, on one appointment, it happened to be a Zoom appointment. And I was like, can you hold on just a second? And I turned the screen off and everything, and I like cried real quick, 30 second, knock it out, back to it, right? And maybe a couple days later, one of my agents gets a hair in his crotch or whatever, and starts telling all my agents, we're gonna force Pat to not work. So everybody stop your business, because I can't believe this guy is like this. He's money hungry, and I'm not money hungry. It was, I didn't want somebody else's daughter to pass away and they weren't properly prepared. That was my main motive. Like, this is like life literally throws you curveballs. You need to be prepared. And so when I found out that I had these appointments, like, I'm going to run them, right? And then when they all came over to the house to have a conversation and confront me about it, I said, look, man, some of you guys want to take forever to overcome something. I don't want to sit around and hope that it's going to overcome. I don't believe me sitting around is going to help me overcome anything. I got to stay in motion. I got to keep moving.
For sure.
And like, I don't mind as a devil's workshop. If I sit around, I'm going to get more depressed. And I got to keep going.
That's how I am.
And I love that about you, man. Like, like, even if I don't answer your text, you are the most consistent person in my life. I have to hands down tell you, like, and just like what you said, it may not be about me. It's about you making sure you're doing what you're supposed to do. And man, I love it.
I do like to hear from you, though.
I know. I know, man. I'm gonna get better. I am gonna get better. But that's man, I've been blessed ever since I started this podcast. I've already had an NFL player on here. I've had Johnny Wimbrey on here. I've had Dream on here. I've had all these beast guys. And when I was thinking about who's in that caliber, you popped up.
Wow, that's an honor, man. I appreciate it.
And I said, I got to get Shane on here.
Yeah, it's funny, I really do appreciate that. There's probably, well, I don't know, maybe not like you, but I often look at my life, like I even said before we started, like if I could go back, just think how much better I'd be. And I always, I every day thank the Lord that I am where I am, because honestly, I didn't have somebody help me. Like, there's no training for my job. I mean, I had the worst training ever. I always say that because it was really none, not the worst. There was none. It was non-existent. And I'm not blaming anybody. I just don't think there was. And, my habits and consistency just took over. And I managed to, before you knew me, I ranked very, very high in the whole country of Fidelity National Title, which I'm still a current employee, which is an accomplishment, and I'm very proud of it. But it wasn't it wasn't a goal of mine or anything like that. I wasn't every day thinking like, how am I going to be number one in the company? I never thought that. I honestly went out and consistently did the same things every single day, and all I was looking for is who will let me help them. That's really all I wanted to do. I mean, when I make phone calls for appointments, I ask them, is my competitor, the person you're using now, are they helping you build your business? Because that's all I want to do. And when I go and speak to groups of agents, sometimes I don't even say where I work. I say, I'm here to help you build your business. That's what I want to do. And so I think that, like what you're saying, is I'm consistently trying to find people to help.
Yeah.
We are Impact Society. I am Damian Davis. You can follow me on Instagram at Mr._Bill Riches with a 3 instead of an E. The reason why I joined Impact Society was first and foremost for the financial literacy coaching. One of the main things that we use every single day is money. That's the one thing that can help your mom get better treatment or help your daughter go to a better school. So when I found the opportunity to really understand how money works and how to make it work for me, I jumped on it. Secondly, just the opportunity to be around people who are further along in their entrepreneurial journey. For me, meeting a millionaire was outside of the question. Now with this industry, I've met over 5, I've met close to 10. I've met a lot of high net worth value people, man. And if you know anything about network, they say your network is your net worth. So this has automatically increased my network, and subsequently it's also increased my net worth. And I'm just so thankful, man. So that's why you need to tap in. Come get the merch. Come join the team, man. I'm trying to tell you, Impact Society. All right. Now back to the episode.
Even in this, any business really, and we've talked about that with branding as well. It's like, sometimes people, you're focused on the wrong thing.
Yeah.
Right? Like some people are trying to, when I was at Remax and or when I was at Realty One Group or whatever, you're trying to promote that. But then if I leave the brokerage and everybody's focused on the wrong thing, when really you should focus on that service because that's what they're going to remember.
Exactly.
When you focus on what you actually do for the people. And I actually had Devin on here earlier too, Devin Resendez.
Yeah.
And we was having a conversation. And, some people think I want to make $1 million. But I like what Jim Rohn said. He said, chase $1 million, not to get the million, but to become the man it took to get it. Right?
Yeah.
And the conversation we had with Devin, for instance, was the same. He had an $80,000 mindset when he first got in real estate. Never thought man, I'm going to make $1 million.
Yeah.
He had an $80,000 mindset. But what he was focused on was that delivery of service, to be OCD for the client, to make sure that I've got every T crossed, every I dotted.
sure.
We're going to go through this deal. I'm going to make sure that you get the service you want.
That's right.
And that's what makes him great.
For sure.
I think of the same thing when I think
There's a book too, again, that I read called The Experience.
The Experience.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's written by somebody associated with Disney World or Disneyland. And, when you go there, it's an experience, right? Everything's cleaned up. The roadways and the sidewalks are clean and neat, and the flowers are clean and neat, and everything's painted. There's no chipped paint. There's, everything there is an experience. If you win a prize, let me take that to your hotel room so it's there for, everything is at another level. And that's how we should be providing service to our people, not our clients, our people,
That's
right?
right.
Your circle.
Like how you humanize that.
Yes, you're not my client. You're my friend. I'll do this for you. This is what I do. I want you to know that this is what I do. I'm connected to you and you're connected to me. Not because you're my client, because I make money from it. That's just the result.
Yeah,
right?
this is a
I
byproduct.
want 300 or 500 or 1,000 people knowing that this is what I provide. And I do it at a high level. I want, when my name comes up, oh yeah, he will take care of you. That is for sure.
Look, you can't even not smile when you think about Shane.
Yeah, exactly.
Because Shane got a good smile anyway.
That's what I want. Yes, I make money from it, but that's really, like you're saying, and now when you say, I want to make $1 million, that's nothing now. You got to have 10 million. You got to have 12, 15 million. I mean, a million's nothing now. But I mean, the point of it, it's not about the money.
Have you ever heard of Benjamin rule?
Uh-uh.
So I do this in financial services to help people understand how much they need to retire with. And you
yeah.
basically take the average of what they want to make while they're in retirement. So let's say they want to do $100,000. Well, they have to divide that by 4%. Because what Benjamin said is he actually has 3 numbers: 2%, 3%, 4%. 2% is conservative. 3%, you're kind of pushing it. 4%, you're going to deplete that account, that retirement account. So after all the ebbs and flows of the market, plus taxes and everything, if you have a retirement in government programs like 401ks, IRAs, you have to divide that by 4%. So if you wanted $100,000 while in retirement, you take $100,000 divided by 4%. It'll tell you how much money you have to save. And most people are way
short.
way behind.
Yeah, way. Of all the realtors, if there's 10,000, I'll bet you 9,500 don't even think about that.
Yeah.
It's a shame.
They, I think they said 3 million active realtors right now. 1 point something didn't even sell one house.
Right. Yeah.
In the year of 2024.
Yeah. I believe that.
That is crazy to me.
And they sure didn't say for retirement.
And I think about that too, is like part-time, right? People think that they have this dream or vision, like, man, I want to be something, but then they want to get in it part-time. And I never understood that mindset because, like, when I got the opportunity to jump into real estate, everybody thought I was crazy. It's '08, markets crashed. I'm so young and dumb, I don't even know better.
Exactly.
But it actually worked to my advantage that I didn't know any better because instead of having all those thoughts that created all the fear, I didn't have any of those thoughts, so I had no fear. I jumped right in.
Yeah.
I made $36,000 my first 3 months, double siding 3 different deals. Yeah, like literally, because I didn't know how real estate worked, so I found the listing, and because I ended up talking to this pastor. I remember, he's partly a pastor, but anyways, he was our youth pastor. So, but I got kicked out of that church. I was a bad kid back then. And one of the first people I wanted to go talk to that I've changed my life, and I'm no longer that knucklehead. And so I go talk to him, and he goes, I said, man, you know what, though, before we get there, I want to tell you this. You was always hard on me. He said, yeah, you come into church with that piece of gum, I'll make you spit it out at the door. I said, I know. Why were you so hard on me and not hard on everybody else? He said, Pat, because I saw the most potential in you. And I said, oh. Well, thank you.
Yeah.
I said, now, that being said, I just joined real estate, and so I guess all your hard work paid off.
Yeah.
And he said, really? I'm going to give you your first listing.
Oh, man.
And so he gave me my first listing, and then I went and found a buyer because I wasn't going to wait. I didn't know that, you just listed.
Yeah. I got to find a buyer.
No, I went out and found a buyer. I double-sided my first 3 deals.
That's awesome.
Because I didn't know any better.
Yeah.
And but it worked out to my advantage.
Yeah.
And I just took off from there.
Yeah, in 2008, I had my best year ever.
Yeah?
Yeah, because I was the same. Like, I was done. I didn't, like, people be talking about 2 years later. I'm like, what happened in 2008? I didn't notice anything. I had a great year because we're just out there working. Like, you just got to work harder. That's
like
all.
2020. Everybody was like, oh, man, it was blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, really?
Yeah.
I was grinding.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, in March of 2020, when not March, in January, my business partner did what he did. But I left with hopes. Like, I'm going to go, all you did was set me free.
Yeah.
That's how I looked at it. Going back to it, the books that we read, I was talking about that courage to be disliked. That courage to be disliked brought me out of my hole, in a sense, because it reminded me that everything that you decide in life, it's going to align with your values. If you believe that you're a victim when life hits you, you're gonna act like a victim. If you believe that you're going to be a victor when life happens, you're going to be a victor. That's what that book was exposing to me. And then when I realized, like, man, I took 4 months off. Like, this is not me. I got to get back to the grind.
Yeah.
And that's when I came back to getting back in business, going back in networking, getting back in front of the people, because this is a people business.
Yeah.
And we're here to turn the world up. We're here to leave an impact on people's lives.
Yeah.
Even if it's just one conversation.
I love that. I mentioned my accountability groups. I hope I'm impacting. I know I'm impacting people, but you can see, you can only impact them as much as they're willing to accept, So in the same group, I'm saying the same thing to everybody. One person will double their business and one person will increase it by 10% because they're only applying, that much of what I'm saying, right? It's funny the way the world works like that.
It's like me and my brother. My brother and I, we are opposites. Yet when people see us, they go, oh, hold on, you have a brother? Because like, if we're not together, I mean, you have a brother, right? Yeah, I do. His name is Joseph, right? Yeah. Or they'll say, hey, you have a brother, right? His name is Patrick. So they definitely know that I have a brother. He's a twin. We're fraternal, but people say we look alike. And yet, raised in the same household, same everything. But we are definitely 100% different. Mm-hmm. And, some of it, I guess, again, going back to nature versus nurture.
Yeah, that's what I was just going to say. Then how's that happen?
Right. So now this is my perspective on nature versus nurture. I believe that one loads the gun and one pulls the trigger. Mm-hmm. Okay? So your nature loads the gun. It gives you the potential, right? So you have the nature to be more competitive than the next, or you have the nature to be, stronger willed or whatever.
Yeah.
But nurture is what helps you pull the trigger, right? So you could have all the talent in the world, but if you don't get around somebody who can help shape that talent, I think there's a lot of talent wasted in the gravesite.
Yeah.
right? A lot of people
Yeah. What's that movie, Trading Places, right, with Eddie Murphy?
Eddie Murphy, yeah, I like that movie.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah, it's very true, but yeah, I mean, you wonder about like intelligence, that's inherent, right? But you could be the smartest person in the world if nobody ever, like the people that you met compared to your brother, somebody changed your future, and not his, or the other way around, same with me and my brothers, if I didn't have never moved to San Antonio, who knows where I'd be? I'm from Iowa, right? They're still there. Well, one of them is. And you can just see like somebody impacted me in some way or another, but we had the same parents. And, I just was exposed to something that they weren't. So there's that's, nurture, but not to say he's not successful. He is, and he's a great person and everything, but he made different decisions that took him to different worlds and, people that impacted him in circles and everything like that.
Let's talk about that. Decisions. Because we all have the opportunity to make them. Some of us make great ones. Some of us make bad ones. Some of us beat ourselves up about the ones that we did make, right? Unpack decisions for me, like how decisions have changed your life, how they, how you because we've watched some people in business. Make some decisions.
I was just listening to a podcast this morning, I think, with Robert from the Shark Tank, and his is called something about 10 things I learned from billionaires on how to be a billionaire. He's a 500 millionaire trying to learn stuff from people, right? And of course, his first episode was about Mark Cuban, and he said Mark Cuban goes into every scenario thinking he's going to win, and there's something to be said about that confidence, right? I mean, if you wake up every morning thinking you're going to win the day, you probably will. If you think you're going to lose, you probably will. Like, you have the ability to push yourself forward. And what was your question? Was I going in the right direction?
No, you're going the right, because Think and Grow Rich says the same thing, right?
Yeah.
Or, he said, if you think you can or you think you cannot, you are right.
Exactly.
Another phrase of that, it came from Marcus Aurelius. I used to have it in my office, and it said, you are the stone and the sculptor, right? And it's the decisions and things that we're making that are creating that impact on what our end product would look like. I had a guy ask me one time, actually when I was bringing Realty One Group to San Antonio, and I was in California. I was in Laguna Beach. Was I in Laguna Beach? Yeah. And I was sitting there having a conversation with this guy, a random guy, but you know how we're always networking. Yeah. And we start talking, where you from? I hear an accent. I'm from Mississippi. He started, and I tell him a little bit about my story, and he goes, "Man, Pat, if you could go back to a younger version of yourself, what would you tell yourself?" I said, "Man, that's a good question. I don't want to just answer it randomly." And I didn't. And then we ended up having another conversation, and we forgot, right? But I didn't. I went home, I went back to the hotel that night, and I just kept thinking about, what would I tell myself, right? And then I ran into him the next morning. I said, "Hey, I have that answer." He said, "Really? What's the answer?" I said, "I tell him nothing." He was like, "What?" I said, "Yeah, I wouldn't tell that guy anything. He wasn't listening."
Yeah.
I said, "But if you are listening, this is what I would tell you."
Yeah.
There's a scripture that says, "No eye hath seen, nor ear hath heard, nor has it entered into the heart of man what God could do for those who love him." I said, "Man, I couldn't go back to a younger version of myself and talk to me because he wasn't listening. That guy had to get his head out of the dirt first."
Yeah.
But for those who are listening, the hope that you can have in life is that we're not like animals. Like, a fish can't leave the water. A polar bear can't leave the polar places. But you could leave and go change your life.
Absolutely.
You have 100% full accountability and the ability to become exactly who you want to be, and you have that ability to create your destination.
That's right.
Right? And it comes from choices.
Yeah.
You have to decide, like, that thing is no longer serving me.
Yeah.
I got to cut it out.
Yeah.
That person's no longer beneficial in my life.
Yeah.
I've got to cut them out.
That substance.
That substance. Man, I read a statistic, for instance, that says that the average American scrolls 3 miles a day.
Yeah.
3 miles with your thumb doing this.
Yeah, I believe that.
And I'm thinking,
I'm guilty. I don't do that much, but I do more than I should, for sure.
But 3 miles.
Yeah.
The average American watches 6 hours of TV a day or scrolls social media for 6 hours. And I think, dang, that extra, like you're looking for more money? Shoot, that's a freaking job right there. By the end of the week, you've already run a full-time job sitting there watching TV.
And my clients will say, well, yeah, but I'm, liking my my circle's stuff. It's good for my social media presence. Okay, you could have did that in 1 minute. I mean, come on. Yeah, there's so much time wasted. I've made bad decisions, and I've made a decision and stood by it. And if you look back, of course, but you don't know going forward. Like I'm walking across campus in Iowa, and it's 85 below zero. And I'm like, okay, I'm leaving here, and I'm moving to San Antonio. That was
warmer.
That was a decision, just like that. Not the opportunity was there; it was an option. I was a teacher, so we had an opportunity to move to San Antonio. I was like, that's where I'm going. Then I started advocating to all my buddies, like, let's all go, and so we all did go.
Nice.
And so we all moved here. But then you look back, but you can't. But just think where I would be today had I not made that decision right there. And then I was a teacher, right? And I was a good teacher, and I loved it. But then some other opportunity presented itself, and I took it. And then this job presented itself, and I took it, even though I didn't want it. Thank goodness for that person, because I was like, nah, I'm going to make a ton of money doing what I'm doing right now. She's like, I think you'll be real good at this. And I was like, nah. And she all she had to do is say, like, well, I'll guarantee you. And I was like, oh, well, that's different. And so then that brought me to this. But then since then, I've had opportunities to run multiple companies, right? You guys talk to me, Kim Howell talked to me, Keller Williams has talked to me many, many times. EXP talked to me in the very, very beginning of San Antonio. Should I have taken it? I mean, probably. I would be, very more well off than I am today. But should have I? I don't know. I mean, that could have gone wrong too. So decisions are made every single day that can mold your future. Some of them are small, right? Just for me to say I'm moving to San Antonio, that's a small decision, but look what it led to, right? And so every day that you put your feet on the floor, you got to decide, am I going to win or am I going to lose today? And I think too many people don't realize their potential, right? Like when I'm teaching my group, I always say, what's the difference between me and you? And they want to all of a sudden start all these things, like whatever it is. No, there's no difference. The answer is nothing. Like you have the same amount of potential as I do. You're just not using yours until now. Now you're going to start. And they have to start believing that they can do anything that they want to do. That's the decision they've got to make for themselves.
100%.
Yeah.
They say small hinges swing big doors.
Yes. Yeah.
We talked about coaching a while back.
We did, yes. Yeah. That morning at breakfast we did.
And I was like, man, you are a great I don't personally believe in motivation per se. I believe in discipline over motivation.
Yes, for sure.
But I do believe that you do need the right people that you give permission to speak into your life.
Yes.
And you have a voice for a lot of people.
Oh, yeah, I appreciate that. There's a thing with Tony Robbins. I don't know if you're a fan of him or not.
But I love Tony.
Yeah, it's just an audible book. It's not an actual book. It's him speaking. He says, positive thinking is great, but it can't be the only thing. Because if you go out into your garden and think there is no weeds, there is no weeds, there is no weeds, the weeds are still going to be there. Yeah. You got to go and do something. Yeah, have a positive attitude, but you've got to also take massive action, right? I mean, otherwise you're just going to be right where you're at.
There was another study on that, and it talks about like what causes most people is they think that they could just mindset. All I got to do is change my mindset. It's gonna change. Like if I think this, it's gonna appear. And you're partly correct, but it's the action that you're putting behind it.
Yes.
Now, here's the hardest part: is when you put that action behind it, right? And it's not as hard as everybody makes it seem.
My name's Cameron, and I joined Impact Society for a better future. I got tired of struggling with a 9-to-5, ending up at the end of the week barely enough to cut it by. And I like the family, the camaraderie. Just by getting initiated with these guys, I've started to have more of a belief in myself. I've felt my momentum in speaking with people or trying to network. I've seen growth in a lot of areas of my life, but really I just I feel like it's a family. There's always somebody that's helping me, that can push me in the right direction, or is ready to guide me, or even bring me up on my awareness when I'm doing something that I shouldn't be. And it's been a wonderful experience thus far. I can't wait to see where we are in the future, and come join us in the movement. Get with us. Now back to the episode.
But that being said, it's one of the most powerful things you can do, because what it does is it actually creates what they call a neurological pathway. So habits, your brain is always trying to figure out how to lower the output so that it conserves energy, right? And so if you could put your life on certain habits, like at night, I'm going to do this. I'm going to have my clothes folded in the morning so I don't have to wake up and think about it.
Yes.
I'm going to have these certain things. And the more that your brain starts putting everything on a habit, you have now more time for the bigger issues in life. Well, in the beginning, when you're creating that habit, you have to, in a sense, there's a mini guy in your brain digging a neurological pathway. And then once the pathway's set, boom, now information, and this is our habit.
Flows
Is our
easy.
habit.
Yeah.
It flows easy.
Yeah.
So where you're at, like earlier when we was mentioning, like where you're at today, you can make decisions like what somebody would consider a hard decision. It's not so hard for you because you have these neurological pathways that says, no, we just get it done.
Yeah.
Like the book, Eat the Frog. Like you just got to do it.
Yes.
You just got to do it. Get it out of the way.
That's right.
If you got to send that email, if you got to do those, because in the core we had to write so many thank you notes every single day, and it was all this accountability to your actions.
Yeah.
And in the beginning, man, it freaking sucked.
Yeah.
Especially for a guy like me, I was not good in school. Matter of fact, I didn't even graduate, and so for me to get into the business world, where how do you know you're building a business if you're not managing it, and if you're not managing, how can you maximize it? And so it's like I need you to be able to bring a report to me and tell me how many phone calls did you make and how many this, and that was hard for me. And so I remember in the beginning, man, I want to go do something else.
Yeah.
All right, I'll write these thank you notes. But that was that conflict that somebody's having is their brain's building a neurological pathway. Now here's the crazy part about that is that old habit. The weeds might have grown on the pathway, but the pathway is still technically there.
Yeah.
And so the day you decide that this is no longer the habit, your brain will revert back to an old pathway that you have.
Yeah.
And that's how some people fall back into bad habit.
Yeah, it's funny. I don't know if you've heard of the book, The Slight Edge.
So I got the book.
Yeah, so I think, anyway.
I was going to say, I think
I might have gave it to you.
Either you or Gary Rodriguez.
Yeah. Anyway, so it's that book in a nutshell. If you were to buy a treadmill and set it right next to your bed, so when you roll out of bed, all you got to do is get on it, right? How easy is that? It's easy.
Yeah.
But it's also easy just to walk around it or to walk away from it, right? It's easier to walk away than it is to get on it. That's kind of like what you're describing. And I think too many people, like for example, when I start off my groups also, you got to surround yourself with the right people. And if you don't, let's say you have a good idea and you lay your contact list out on the desk and I'm gonna make 20 calls, and then your best friend walks by and go, hey, we're going to get a taco. You want to go? You close up all your stuff. I'm like, yeah, I want to go get a taco. Of course I do. And we all want to go get a taco. We don't want to make those 20 calls.
Yeah.
But why don't you say to your friend, hey, let's both make 20 calls and then I'll buy your taco. You know what I mean? Because now you're going to be able to, because making 20 calls,
Or make a bet out of it.
make a bet out, do something.
Hey,
Just
you make
change-
20 calls, I make 20 calls, fast person goes 3
Yeah,
calls to get the
absolutely.
most meetings set.
Yeah.
That other person has about
Yeah.
tacos.
You can see all the reading I do, right? All of my conversations, my whole world is stuff that I read. The biggest impact probably that the first book, I was like you. I didn't do that well in school. I never read a book. Like, why would I read a book? I literally thought, like, what am I going to read a book for? That's dumb. Like, that's what I thought. And then a friend of mine gave me a book, John Maxwell's book, and I was like, okay, cool, thanks. I'm not about to read a book. And then he kept on saying, like, hey, what do you think? I'm like, you can only say, oh, it's good for so long before you better read it. So I read it, and then in the first chapter it says, stop reading, get out a notebook, and write down what you want people to say about you at your funeral. I was like, dang, dude, that's something. Like, not what you think they will, what you want them to. Those are two different, right? What you think, like at that time in my life, well, around that time in my life, you did, well, you knew me a little bit in my past, like single, no kid life. I was a little crazier, right? And so, yeah, I was fun and I had a good time and everything. And I was known to be a good time. And that's probably what people would say about me, among some other things that aren't not as flattering. And so then I literally started saying, you know what, I want people to say this about me, which is, he helped me. Really, in a nutshell, he helped me. That's what I want people to say. And so that's when I really turned that around.
When I was sitting in my backyard when my daughter, when I lost the brokers, I lost the investment company, I was at a low point in life, and I was in the backyard, and I was thinking about, I'm not even gonna lie, I was thinking about committing suicide. File the insurance, my kids will get the money and bounce back, right? I was in such a negative place. Anyways, my wife comes out, and she goes, Pat, I just want to ask you a question, how you answer this so we can move forward. How do you want to move forward? What is it going to take? And I said, babe, this is my answer. It has to be about impact and influence, and it cannot be about money. If it's about impact and influence, I'll do it. It cannot be about money. I won't serve money anymore. And it's not that I served money, but I definitely became a workaholic because, what I realized through that journey was that the reason that I was trying so hard to earn money is because the little boy within myself that was scared of poverty, because I grew up in poverty. I know what it's like to grow up with less than others. That little boy always was going to make sure he was working overly hard, right? One thing you can't say is you outpace Pat. And when everything shifts to impact and influence, no longer about money, I could freely serve you and want to just serve to serve. Yeah. Just to put a smile on your face and leave an impact that, wow, that guy's different. And that actually the best place I've ever been. Yeah. Like today, if I go broke, I could care less. Yeah. Because I know that I'm going to still be able to go out there and touch people's lives. Yeah. And people are going to say, oh, that guy was different. Yeah. I knew you were different right away. Right away, I knew. It's funny, right? Yeah. You meet people and you shake their hand and you're like, okay, that guy, yeah, he can do it. You just got to do it. Yeah. I knew you could do it. I knew right away. It wasn't the first time I met you, but it was, where were we? We were somewhere like at a poker tournament or something. I can't remember, but that's when but also I think you, I was going to say, realized who I was. Like I'm a big deal. I wasn't a big deal, but yeah, you came up to me and we had a great conversation. I was like, okay, now I know this guy. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't a long conversation or anything. I just felt the genuineness that you have, and you were able to, just put me at not at ease, because I'm usually at ease, but you kind of convinced me that you have something. Yeah, I'll never forget that. That's funny, right? Amen. I appreciate that. To think I impacted Shane.
Yeah, of course, dude.
But, man, I mean, I never read that book that you're talking about, but I thought the same thing. I started thinking about what I wanted people to say at my funeral. Yeah. And I think I was actually at a funeral when I was thinking about that, because I was listening to people talk about this person and they were lying. Mm. And I knew they were lying. Yeah. Like, y'all know how bad this person was. It was like, it was just last week alone. This guy, like, you know what I mean? And I was just sitting there thinking, like, man, I do not want people showing up at my funeral
having to lie.
Yeah. I have to live a life.
I was probably at that same funeral.
Right. I couldn't see myself being sent off in a lie. Yeah. And so at that point I started living life like, what book? Outlive Your Life. I actually think it is by John Maxwell. Really? I think so. And it's called Outlive Your Life. That book was a great book for me. It starts off that this guy's he's a captain and all of a sudden the storms are hitting the ocean, and so he sees a series of 3 different islands, but he goes to the best looking one, pulls over, But then it goes back to the other ones and it's like, hey, why is y'all's island different from this guy's, the last island? And then eventually he goes to the island and they start telling him, and I forget the guy's name, but I'm just going to say Father Joseph, okay? I don't remember the actual character, but he goes, it was Father Joseph. He's like, okay, cool. Take me to see Father Joseph. And they take him to go see the canals that Father Joseph helped them build. And, well, okay, cool. This is all good and amazing, but let me see Father Joseph. Okay. And you take him over there where they're doing merchant sales and they figured out how to create, a commerce for the island. And, okay, this is all great, but can you take me to see Father Joseph? Yeah, come on. You take him up the hill and they take him to the church that he planted with the school and all this stuff. And he's like, I don't know if I'm saying this correctly in your language, but I want to see Father Joseph. Where is he? Well, they say, well, you see Father Joseph.
He's everywhere.
But he died a long time ago. Yeah. He's like, hold on, man, you've been having me go around this whole time and he's dead?
Yeah. It's his legacy.
Yeah, but you asked to see him.
Yeah.
And we showed you him. Mm-hmm. And when I read that, Outlive Your Life, and I read that, I was like, that's actually profound.
Yeah.
To live a life that years later, people could say, I did, I helped impact them.
Yeah.
And I had created a 501c3 called Tamarisk Ministries. And Tamarisk is about Abraham having faith, and he planted a vineyard of tamarisk. Tamarisk don't grow for 3 generations, but tamarisk is where you get manna. And so when you read tamarisk, that Abraham planted a vineyard of tamarisk in the book of Genesis, and not until the book of Exodus, generations later, when his seed, his great grandkids are coming out of Egypt and they're starving and they need food and manna's on the ground the next day, to think that Abraham was walking in such faith that he was planting something he would never see the fruit of his labor from, but that his seed would be able to have provision in their worst times. And it was stuff like that I was asking myself, could I do that?
Yeah.
Could I outlive my life? Could I build something so great that, if I'm not here, I'm still here forever?
Yeah, it's legacy. I mean, you have it through your children too, Yeah, I just met your son, right? And my daughter, she's going to be 10, right? And every day I think about that. What am I doing? Like, am I doing the right thing every day? Am I teaching her to do the right thing every day? And you can't always do the right thing, right? But the philosophies that you leave behind, and all the mentalities that you have, being a good person. That's what I tell her all the time. Like, I'm just trying to raise a good person, and that's what I want you to be. Anything else, I don't really care that much. I want you to be smart. I want you to be other things, but I want you to be a kind person. And so that's my legacy, and you'll have your legacy with your children too. But yeah, anything you do, foundations or all of that, it's all your legacy, and that's great. That's a great way to leave the world.
Even the podcast.
Yeah.
I mean, this is like 20, 30, 50 years from now, my kids, my grandkids, if I'm not here, they could pop a podcast on. I don't know how they're going to turn it on in the future. Might pop up in a hologram. I have no idea. But they'll be able to reference, like, oh, that was my dad's mindset.
Yeah.
Oh, those are the people that my dad hung out with.
Yeah.
And those are the guys that influenced his life. And that's, this is my calling card in case I'm not here. Yeah. But more importantly, for the people that I don't see and don't get to touch tangibly right now, to know that I have a story and where I came from and that I overcame, and, but I wouldn't have got there without, first of all, God, hands down, God changed my life. But the books I read, the events I attended, and the people that I surrounded myself with.
Yeah. I'm now that you're saying, you read my text every time. I think
sometimes I have to. I heart it just to let you know I heart it because I don't know how to read.
Yeah, I think it was on Friday. I've sent out a message, and I'm not sure where I got it, but while I'm talking, I might remember. It's kind of like what you're saying. Like, sometimes we don't see the results of the seeds we're planting for weeks or months or years, right? But you've got to faithfully be planting them every single day, and it will come. But you got to do it. So many people want to give up, but you can't give up. You got to know it's coming. If you're doing the right things every day, your future will be brighter, right? I mean, sowing the seeds, that's what you got to do.
That's it. Can't stop throwing those seeds.
Yeah.
There's a Matthew. Matthew says, "You have good seed. You're a good sower. Just keep throwing.
Yeah.
Some will land on thorny ground, shallow ground. Birds will come pick it up, but that fourth ground
Exactly.
is where it lands
Yeah.
and brings a rate of return." So, if you had to give advice to somebody out there right now, 18 years old, 20 years old, doesn't matter,
Yeah.
but they want to know, how do I get to where you guys
Yeah.
are today? We've already kind of talked about mindset, habits, things of that nature, but is there something that you could kind of encompass and say, hey, look, this is my advice?
Yeah, that's a tough one. Even when you're 18 years old, your circle is so different. And so that's what I think it is. Get your circle, right? Get a mentor, talk to somebody, but even when you have a mentor and your mentor's giving you advice, if you don't do it, it's not going to work, right? So for me, even for everyone, you're 40, 18-year-old, a 50-year-old, however old you are, get a plan, write it down, and then focus on it. I mean, don't let outside influences take you away from your plan. You got to have a plan and then focus on it and do the activities that are in your plan that are going to get you there. That's my advice, whether you're 18 or however old you are.
Yeah.
If you're 10 and you want to be an Olympic ice skater, okay, then let's go. You have a plan. Those are easier. You talked about, you didn't say this, but like removing the things that are in your way. If you're going to run a marathon, set your alarm, move your alarm away from your bed so you get up. Have your tennis shoes your first step, your shorts the second step, move all the roadblocks. Remove all the roadblocks and focus on your plan.
I love that. And we're going to finish off with this, is that there's a book by Napoleon Hill called Laws of Success. Love that book. Definite chief aim is one of the biggest things he talks about. Is you're not going to change your life unless you have a definite chief aim. I always make this example. I mean, how would I know how to get to LA or Dallas or Houston from where I'm at today if I don't have a map?
Yeah.
So I call a map a missional action plan, an MAP. That's what I call it,
Yeah.
missional action plan. And that you have to build out a map for your life. You have to know where you want to go. You have to think about the different roadways to get there, right? You could take tollways, you could take side roads, you could take all these, but then you also got to think about what pitfalls are going to be along the way, and be willing to address those things as they show up. Sometimes it's not, you're driving and you don't know that there's a wreck or that there's the road stopped here, but you're going to run in them. That doesn't mean your destination ends.
Exactly.
It's just it just means let's take a detour real quick. And detour's okay as long as you keep that definite chief aim.
Yeah.
In mind. And going back to this, and we're going to wrap up, is that some people think of all you got to do is think, the mindset. I just changed my mindset. But in the book of Law of Success, what he's saying is you have to think it first, 100%. That's where it does start. Creativity, your God-given ability to think and create, that is where it starts. But if I wanted to go eat, for instance, and in my mind, I think like, man, I could go to Whataburger. I could go to the Brazilian steakhouse, which is my favorite, Chama. I could go to, right? Like, you got to think of all these different places. But it's not until your thought meets your heart. Mm-hmm. And once your heart goes, ooh, Chama, Brazilian steakhouse with the lemonade and right? And then it starts getting you excited. You will never have action until these two meet. Mm-hmm. So you have to be aligned. So you can't just think like, I want to be a millionaire, but then your heart says, but you'll never make it. As long as those two things are never aligned, you'll never achieve anything. I agree. You have to. These two have to come into a line, and as soon as they come into a line, action starts taking place. Because once I say I want to go to Chama, man, Chama does sound good. Boom, I'll start hitting the Chama. Right? But you cannot decide that you want to do something and then it's not aligned with what you truly believe in your heart, what you could accomplish, what you truly want to accomplish. Because you could say, again, I want to be a millionaire. But then when you realize what it takes to be a millionaire, the habits it takes, the books you got to read, the information you got to access, the people you got to know. Some people give up on that.
Yeah, most do.
Most do. So that's our podcast today. I appreciate Shane coming out and dropping these nuggets for you guys, showing what consistency will do for your life, you know, what good habits will do for your life, what the right mindset. And if you don't have the right mindset, the right books to give you that right mindset, right? All those things. But more importantly, like what he said, if you really want to change your life, it's getting plugged in with a mentor, somebody that's already either there or at least headed that way so that you guys could go and team up together and expedite your journey. So I appreciate Shane coming on our
Thank you so
podcast
much.
today. Man, thank you. And look forward for you guys plugging in with Impact Society, learning how you could also change your life. Each one reach one, each one teach one.